What is up, YouTube? Matt McKeever here with Michael Rosehart. And so it's been quite a while since we did Mike and Matt on Fire, but we're back. And so I figured, let's just get right into it. If you guys don't remember, the whole idea behind this show was both Mike and myself retired at relatively young ages. Mike, fill them in case they haven't somehow.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the old videos from a couple years ago on Matt's channel, I retired at 24, a little over 2 years ago, and I've been enjoying it ever since.
Surviving ever since. And same with myself. It's actually almost coming up on 3 years now. And so I retired at the age of 31. And again, it's been working out pretty well.
Wait, you didn't have to go get a job?
Didn't have to get a job.
All the haters were wrong?
Didn't die destitute on the street. And so in fact, what we used to do on the Mike and Matt's on Fire is I'd literally just jump on my laptop, we'd check out Reddit, and we'd discuss some common topics being shown.
Yep.
And so it just was literally too perfect, guys. You'll see on my screen share, but we have reflection on 2 years of retirement. So this was posted by freedom_33. Sounds like he's of the same spirit as us.
Yep.
And recently I started to gather my thoughts on what I've learned during 2 years of retirement. In our case, we've been doing full-time travel in an RV, looking for a new home base, and had a second kid while traveling. The executive summary is, not having a job is great, being nomadic is good and bad, kids are tiring. For lean fire numbers, in our first full year of retirement, we spent $25,000. In our second full year, we spent $30,000. Figures are USD. So anyways, I just thought, seeing how it's been so long since we sat down and chatted, let's catch up the audience on what we've been up to for the last 2 years. So over the last 2 years, you literally, you quit your job, bought a bunch of real estate, got rid of a bunch of real estate.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster, kind of like the roller coaster of fire roller coaster. Yeah, so quit the job. You guys probably have followed those videos. You can check those ones out on Matt's channel from before with kind of my backstory. But yeah, I quit the job at 24. I was working in consulting. Quit that because I had a sizable real estate portfolio. I think I had maybe 11 or something properties when I quit. And then I bought like 7 more right after I quit, did some joint ventures and stuff like that, had a lot of fun, got to 17, then decided like this was enough. I wanted this retirement dream that I was after the whole time. Sold 11 properties off. That was the last video, I think.
Yeah, probably the last video on my channel was you selling all your real estate.
Late 2017 or early 2018. I'm not sure exactly when that was.
And you timed the market perfect.
Oh, guys, I missed out on like 15% of appreciation. So you know what? It's not timing the market, it's time in the market. But I did it from a psychological perspective. You can check out why I did that. For me, it made a lot of sense at the time, and so it's all good. But at the end of the day, if you think about the whole journey through fire, right? Everyone's going to have different goals, and the idea behind it is just you choose. Like in your journey to fire, you kind of can choose your own path. Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of it, is that you can go from one day deciding, you know, I want to spend some time traveling, to then saying, hey, I want to build a business with some cool friends of mine and build something, which is what exactly I did since the last time I was here. We're up to what, like 55 properties roughly, between 50 and 60 properties in that range here in London, Ontario. So we've become a major player in some senses. I think we're, in the last 6 months, probably the largest buyer of private homes off market, I think, in London. Maybe someone can challenge me on that, I don't know. So it's gone crazy. We built a property management company that's working with investors, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We've built a lot of opportunities out of, you know, starting my own YouTube. Oh yeah, did I even have a YouTube channel back then?
Yeah, definitely not 2 years ago.
I started the channel, like April, so I've been doing it for 8 months now or something. So yeah, I have a YouTube channel now, which is really cool. Been able to give back, way more gratifying. Like Matt said, Matt was like, you were telling me, like, you gotta start a YouTube channel, man. The gratification from the comments and the engagement on YouTube is much better than on the blog. And I was like, I don't know, and then I did it, and
the community and relationships you can build through this one-to-many conversation is just so powerful. There's nothing else like it.
Yeah.
I don't think enough people understand. We're so lucky to be in a situation where we can, and financial independence is kind of what's allowed us to goof around on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah, and the power of social media. Like, I underestimated the power of social media. This guy is one of the main contributors for me getting on YouTube and Instagram, especially Instagram.
Yeah.
Matt's like, man, the power of YouTube, the power of Instagram. I remember sitting down whiteboarding, literally like the value prop there. And for me in the beginning, it was just about giving value for free, and I didn't really want to ask anything of it. And that was kind of where I started and got on the journey. And to now it's kind of become this, I've got 6,000, 6,100 subscribers, and
awesome.
my last video got 27K views. It's going viral. It's gonna be at 30K
it's so
in a couple
exciting
days.
when your first video pops, man. It's so awesome.
I'm just watching, like, except for the troll comments one night, like all these new people found
they
the
can
channel.
cut deep,
yeah, like they're like, you're nothing. Like, oh, your parents are rich. I'm like, did you even watch the video? Like, oh, like, look how lucky you got in real estate. I'm like, did you again watch any of the videos? So. That was the hardest part, but it's been
well,
it's been
and
good.
kind of building upon that, the interesting thing, both when I quit my job and when you quit your job, like there's a lot of fear around making that final jump, right? I can remember before we actually started shooting this video, we were chatting about like a really long phone call we had right before you quit your job, and I remember before I quit my job, like I was so scared and stressed out. I made a giant list on Excel of just all the different ways I could potentially earn income if things went terribly wrong. And the funny thing is, like, that list was like crazy in depth, where it was like I could like put a tent in my backyard and, you know, camp in my own backyard and rent out my house on Airbnb, shit like that, right? Like, just I'll drive for Uber, just all those different things. But then what ended up happening when I actually quit my job, I actually started making more money than when before through real estate investing. And so what was your experience like, Mike?
Yeah, so I guess 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I was on the phone with this guy, Matt McKeever. We were friends through the Bigger Pockets Network. Coming up on 3 years this summer, which is crazy. I can't even believe it's been 3 years almost. But I was driving home and I was really afraid to quit my job. I was like, you know what? There's all those naysayers out there that say it's going to fail. You know, you're not going to be able to make the withdrawal rates. You're going to run out of money. You know, you're going to crawl back.
It's a hot market right now, but just wait until it corrects. Just like all kinds of things. Like, and people are really good at planting doubt in your mind, right? Because you're already scared and nervous, and you're already doing something that most people consider crazy or outside of normal. So there's a lot of arguments against it, right?
Totally. And I remember you being on the phone with me and being like, Mike, you've got to this stage, right? You've gotten this far I was 24 years old or just turned. And it was like, if you've gotten this far, imagine how much you're going to be able to accomplish once you retire, once you take your 45 hours a week to the day job and throw it to some entrepreneurial venture, whatever your passions are, how much more you're going to be able to unlock. And those words rang true big time for me. So I retired 2 years ago, February. And what did I do? For the first year, bought a bunch of properties, accelerated my net worth. It grew a ton. And then now starting like this business as well, I've gone from, it's funny, it's a roller coaster of like getting to 17 personal properties, then down to like 4 personal properties, now up to like 50 properties, like partnered. So I'm half, I guess. But still, to go from like nothing, I had like in the 6-figure portfolio to then having like well into the 8 figures. That's a huge jump in 6 months. It's kind of proof that like these type A people who doubt themselves, if you just dial in and get the right people around you, the right network of people to help you unlock your potential, you can accomplish way more than you thought and help a lot of people in the process, right?
Well, and the one thing, so as my fire journey kind of evolved, I started using the term like firepreneur. And so the idea behind that was, you know, you've reached financial independence, you've hit lean fire, so just the bare needs are covered through your financial independence. And then any additional consumption, like you're consciously adding on. But what's great is it's a perfect platform or like fortress of solitude to launch all kinds of crazy entrepreneur experiments, right? And so that's kind of what we're doing right now in this house. This is what the Mastermind Mansion's all about, is that idea. You kind of have your mentee house, right?
Yeah.
And it's just all these different experiments that we can now take those risks, and because we've reached financial independence, because we don't have a day job anymore, I think you're able to speed up the feedback loop on the iterations you're doing of things. So like, you know, you would have still probably built up this big real estate portfolio, you probably would have still built up the big property management business, but at a day job it would have just taken maybe 5 years or a decade to build it up, right? Where instead, all of a sudden, you have a much faster feedback loop, so now you're doing it in like a year or 6 months. I think that's what's really powerful to me about financial independence, about retiring early. It's one thing that I didn't really understand until I was on the other side. Like once I was on the greener grass, then I understood like, oh shit, once you have time to think, once you have time to plan, like very few of us actually live a conscious life, in my opinion. It's really difficult to actually think about the future when you're just too busy surviving or living your day-to-day. And that's something financial independence has definitely given me, is way more perspective on life and just what I really want out of it. And for myself, what I stumbled upon was the idea of I really want to make an impact, right? And so me and Mike have talked about it in the past, and like you guys know, I'm a huge Gary Vee fan. He's always talking about legacy, and that's what these meetup groups are about. That's what a lot of the community building that I think both myself and you're doing as well.
Yeah.
A lot of it's about that idea of legacy and leaving a really big impact. And again, this platform of financial independence is just so perfect for us. Like, yeah, our legacy involves, you know, personal finances and helping people with their personal finances, but just as easily if yours was a different social cause. Again, if you can get yourself to financial independence, if you can get yourself to that fortress of solitude of fuck you money, all of a sudden you can now take those risks. You can now start up that whatever, that crazy soup kitchen or that donate or like pay what you want business or all those crazy things that if you had to survive, if you had to pay your rent or pay yourself a salary, it all of a sudden takes the business into needing runway versus just being able to start up tomorrow.
I know, like for myself personally, I would have never got into Right Way Management. I wouldn't even have started the company because I was concerned about getting my own financial independence taken care of. I wouldn't have been worried about like helping investors make money. So I probably would have never even taken the steps to start buying properties with investors and help them get returns. It's funny, I focused on them and I ended up doing well for me, right? You create value and then value comes back to you. I've just always been a conservative person. I wouldn't have started an entrepreneurial venture while having a full-time job. I just wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you think of the opportunity cost of having the job, if you're close to financial independence, and maybe there are some people that we know on our network that are really close, right? And those people who are super close, if they just make the jump, I think they're going to find that the parachute's going to be there.
Well, yeah, and because I've talked about it like way back in some older videos, but at the end of the day, like the economic system we live in, you know, if you create value, people give value back to you, and so that's usually monetarily. So it's not like you're never going to be a productive member of society again for the next 50 years. You retire at like 25 or 30. It's not like you're going to spend the next 50, 60 years being completely unproductive. You're still going to add value somewhere, somehow. Even if you're trying not to, you're still going to do it in some way, whether that's through favors or actual money or just like social capital. That's going to build up. And again, that's going to give you a more robust, resilient lifestyle. So the one thing that's also really interesting recently is we're in a kind of a bubbly real estate market right now, or at least it feels that way. Everything's only with hindsight can you really tell what's going on. But I'm sure you're getting a lot of hate on your video where it's kind of going viral and stuff. I've received similar where people are like, sure, it's a hot market now, but what happens when interest rates go to 20% or they throw out just these crazy black swan or doomsday scenarios? I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk through that too, because again, to me, having reached lean fire means we know what we need to survive. So like, we know that we can cut back to that. I don't know exactly what your number is, but whether it's like $12,000 a year or $25,000 a year, you know, you could scale back to that lifestyle and survive off of it. And there's a certain empowerment that comes with that versus the people that are just on that constant treadmill and don't even understand that a way to get out of it, if that makes sense.
Like a big pushback might be like, I have my second child on the way and we have a family, right? People would say, well, I can't do that because I have kids, I have a family, I have this or that. If you just plan for it and you think about the cost of raising a child and you budget for that accordingly, it's going to be okay. You just need to make sure you have margin for that. And I think a lot of people are afraid to make that jump and to do that. And I don't necessarily think that it should be a reason you shouldn't fire.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going to be able to, you'll earn money too. Like this is another thing that Matt said to me that resonated back in the day in 2016 before I quit. He said to me like, Mike, you don't think you're going to earn some, I was like, well, what happens if there's a recession? Like I can't draw any dividends or something. For whatever reason, my rental portfolio is like somehow unrentable, which like we could actually workshop that and that won't be an issue in a recession, but rental demand actually increases. But if you think through that, could I just then go and pick up a part-time hustle or part-time job to cover my living expenses? Because I was always used to living on less than half of my income. So that means if I worked even half the time, I'd more than cover my living expenses. So to avoid dipping into a portfolio, I remember you saying to me like, Mike, there's no way you can't earn enough to cover your living expenses because I'm so lean. I live on like 25 grand a year for my whole family. I can go get a job even part-time and make that with my skills.
Same with if you play around on Fire Calculator, right, or Fire Calc, all of a sudden you start to realize if the first couple years of your early retirement, if you can either make some money if, say, all of a sudden the market does tank, or you can reduce your consumption for a couple years, once you get past like the first 5 years of your retirement, it almost all levels out again,
Yes.
right? Like it's really just those first few years if the market really tanks hard. But again, it's one of those arguments that seems so straw man oriented to me, where people will argue and be like, sure, like you have a lot now, but you're going to lose it all in the next recession. And kind of my perspective is, one, I think I've built up a much more robust portfolio than that. I suspect that I could survive almost any recession, unless we're talking, you know, complete crumbling of society. But even if I do lose everything, it's better to have had everything and lost it, I think, than to have never had it at all in the first place. And that's something that, again, the people that are really focused on the worst case scenario, the black swans, they're just going to be like, no, like if interest rates go 20% tomorrow, you're ruined. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like if all my shit's variable and goes 20% interest rates tomorrow, I am ruined. But so is like everyone else. Like it's not like I operate in a vacuum,
government has a shutdown.
Right?
Like
yes, like we don't operate in a vacuum, and that's what's important to understand. That like in those crazy black swan events, often like the government steps in to try and mitigate it because they also don't want that crazy turmoil. Crazy turmoil is not good for most actors in any economy, right? Like we want a certain degree of stability in order to be able to do transactions with each other. So yeah, I just think it's important because I know at the very start, I worried way too much about worst case scenarios. And I think I should be focusing on most likely scenarios.
Yeah,
most likely scenario is everything works out okay. You've survived this long in your life. Whether you're 19, 29, 39, 59 right now, you survived this long. I think you'll do okay without a day job.
Yeah, I think if you've gotten to this point so far, you're one of the, look at all of the bloggers in the space. Yeah. It's like Mr. A Mustache, yourself, myself, like all the people who are in the FIRE movement leading this, right? All of us have like doubled our net worth since we were retired, maybe more, because we pick up firepreneurship type ventures. And that's what's most likely going to happen is you're going to free up your time. And you're not going to go from, you know, being a guy who's making 50, 80, 100 grand a year to making nothing. You'll probably end up creating some sort of venture, doing something, because you have valuable skills and you have a good mentality, I think, towards investing if you've gotten this far.
100% agree. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you kind of like what we're doing here with Mike and Matt on Fire, smash that like button. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to my channel. Jump over, check out Mike's channel as well. I'll have a link in the video description down below. But otherwise, just jump in the comment section. Let us know, did you enjoy this? Would you like to see this become a reoccurring feature on my channel or Mike's channel, or maybe we'll alternate? Also, if you just discovered Mike from this video, make sure you leave a comment on one of his videos when you jump over and start watching them, and just let him know that you found him through Matt's channel.
Who's this Mike Rosehart guy? Like?
And yeah, otherwise guys, until next time, remember, making money is a team sport. There's more than enough money in this world for us to all make it, but if you're not saving it, I mean, like, what's the point? Thanks, guys. Bye.